Hey, you here? Yes, you are. You're tuned in to episode number 1005 of the Paul Leslie Hour. Ah, yes, indeed. We've been piling up on the good stuff, talking to some of the most iconic people of all time, and today is no exception. Paul's so excited about this one that you can hear his heart. Doom, doom, doom. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we're elated to welcome the one and only Steve Cropper, one of the most legendary guitarists in music, a great songwriter, A&R man, record producer, and renowned live performer. Steve Cropper, called one of the greatest guitarists of all time, was the rhythm guitarist for Booker T and the MGs. Cropper had a hand in pretty much every record issued by Stax Records. Cropper's written with everyone from Otis Redding to Eddie Floyd. Just think about all the great tunes he co-wrote. Oh man, there's Sittin on the Dock of the Bay, In the Midnight Hour, 6345789, Knock on Wood. Hey, no wonder Cropper was inducted into the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame. And then we can't forget those great instrumentals he co-wrote, like Green Onions and Time is Tight. Oh, Steve Cropper just doesn't stop. Everyone's talking about the new incredible track he's playing on, Going Home, theme of The Local Hero by Mark Knopfler. If you haven't heard it, check it out. It's to support Teenage Cancer Trust and Teen Cancer America, and it's got more than 60 fabulous musicians on it, including Steve Cropper. Well, I see Paul's given me the thumbs up and okay symbol. It's time for Steve Cropper, but real quick, please subscribe and like the Paul Leslie Hour on Facebook and YouTube. It's a great help to us, and it keeps you plugged in to what's going on here. Now, who's ready to hear from Steve Cropper?
Hey, it's Cropper here.
Hey, Mr. Cropper, this is Paul Leslie. How are you?
I'm doing good, Paul. How you doing?
Oh, I'm just fine. Just fine. Great pleasure to talk to you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's our great honor to welcome a legendary guitarist, recording artist, songwriter. He's an inductee of the Nashville Songwriters Hall of Fame with Booker T and the MGs. He's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm very honored to talk to him. I want to start this interview with a quote. This is from Bob Dylan. He said, "Sure,
Okay.
I've always dug Steve Cropper, his guitar playing. Ever since the Booker T record, I heard that back in the Midwest. Everybody was playing like him."
He's a good guy. He is.
That's good to hear. Well, you know, you've had so many different credits to your name, so many different things, songs that are just
Right.
they're enduring. Has there been anything about your life that surprised you?
Yeah, I think when I went to California, it surprised me. So there were two hits right off the bat. One was Photograph and the other was Tonight's the Night, Rod Stewart and Ringo. And I wound up playing on about 3 or 4 Ringo albums and 3 or 4 Rod Stewart albums after that.
What about that was surprising to you?
I didn't think I could do it, but I was able to do it. And I told Jim Stewart and Al Bell, I said, I'm not going across the street and going to competition with you. I'm on, so I didn't. I did Dreams, and what else did I do for Columbia? I did Dreams, Poco, and I did Tower of Power, but that was for Warner Brothers. I was afraid I was going to get sued on that one, so I didn't let anybody know about it. I had Ronnie Capone as the engineer, as the producer or co-producer. So that was one of my best compliments. The engineers at Warner Brothers called back and said, "What did you guys do? That's a great record." Well, we didn't do anything. I know what we did to mix it. We used Allison Research noise gates. Had 3 of them, and we used it on different things. So when the vocal pops in and the horns pop in, it's dead silence till they make a note.
Well, something that everybody is talking about these days, there is this track that's getting a lot of play, and it has, I mean, when I say just about everybody in music of the last decades, it's called Yeah, I mean, it's just a. I mean, I have to say, it's like a monster track. Mark Knopfler's Guitar Heroes release, Going Home. It features
Right.
our guest today, Steve Cropper, and so many iconic musicians from a Beatle to the late Jeff Beck. It's really something to behold. So how did you get involved with that?
I guess it's Eddie Gore. That's the only thing I can tell you. He knows Mark, and Mark Knopfler, that's a guy I've never met. Isn't that weird? I've never actually met him, to shake his hand or anything, tell him how much I appreciate him. I think he changed the world on music. Now, I got to tell you this. Jerry Wexler called me one time from New York, and he said, we cut a guy last night. He said, he played every lick you ever thought of playing. I said, he did? He said, yeah. I don't know why Jerry told me that, but he did. It was Martin Knopfler, Fill in the Flame.
Wow.
So I've never been able to tell Mark this story, but I'm sure he'll appreciate it if I tell him.
Well, maybe Mr. Knopfler is listening to this broadcast and he can get in touch.
I hope so. I love him so much. He's a great guitar player. His style is just incredible. Nobody wants to copy him, I don't think. Nobody can copy him. He does it his way. So there you go.
Well spoken. Well, you know, like I was saying, there's so many people on this track. You got Ringo Starr. You got, as I said, the late Jeff Beck. You've got Sheryl Crow.
Keith Urban is on it, and James Burton. I was there when they did this stuff, and it was great.
Wow. So what did you think when you heard back the track for the first time?
First time finished, a little overwhelming, I think, because I didn't know that Martin knew that many people. He did. He got everybody involved in that. Everybody could. And the other thing is this: how did the engineers know what to do with it? With so many guitar players.
Yeah, it's incredible.
They figured somehow they figured it out. Eddie had it going, and then it was turned over to Mark, and so Mark did it with his engineer in his studio. So I guess with Mark's help, Mark knew the song, so it's easy enough to decipher. I mean, to learn that thing from scratch would be a mind boggler, I think.
Well, I'm hoping you can tell us about this gentleman named Eddie Gore. He's a producer, an artist developer, an engineer, and you've been running with him for a while. So tell us about Eddie.
For a long time. Well, Eddie's great. I think he's one of the best engineers around. And a lot of people don't know that. Everybody that's ever used him says, man, that's great. I'm going to use you again. And either they do or they don't, whatever it is. And I've always told Eddie, I said, all it takes is one. You got to get a hit. And if you get a hit, everybody's going to want one.
Since I found out I was going to do this interview, I've been listening to all kinds of stuff from your solo record to Booker T and the MG stuff. I'm wondering, what is it like for you when you're out in public? You're at a restaurant or someplace and you start hearing something and you think, wow, that melody sounds like, wait a minute, that's me. Does that still perk your ears up?
Well, sometimes. The thing is that I hope you notice that I can't sing. I'm not a singer. I can sing background harmony because I know what to do, but I can't sing. I don't have the right timbre, the right sound in my voice. I had 2 records out, and the guy thought I could sing. I said, no, I can't. That was Jeff Frank. He thought I could sing from the Blues Brothers. I said, Jeff. And his attitude was, everybody can sing. No, they can't. If they don't have the timbre or the sound, then it doesn't matter. It's not going to go over.
Well, who out there, present and past, do you think is a great singer?
Well, Keith Urban's a good one. A great singer, let's see. Other than Otis Redding and Wilson Pickett and Eddie Floyd. Hell, I don't know anybody. He's a great singer. I think Ringo's a lot better than he thinks he is. He's got a sound that's just a killer. And all those Beatles had a sound. Every one of them had their own sound. I think that's great. And I think that happened with Booker T too. Everybody had their own thing. So Donald Duck Dunn wound up being one of the greatest bass players. Not because he was Booker T, because he was good. He was with everybody. He played with Eric Clapton for a while and different people, and Carl Reaver and Neil Young, he played with them. He went out with Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the reunion tour. He was out with them, and he's great. So he said, how come you wasn't in? I said, well, there'd been 6 guitar players on stage if I'd been out there. They didn't need 6 guitar players.
You were mentioning a moment ago the late Otis Redding, and my gosh, we have not had an artist like that. He was just such a one of a kind.
I keep waiting, and I'm gonna die before it happens. It looks like. So he's the only artist that I ever knew that they made the hair on my arm stand up when they sang. He opened his mouth and the hair stood up on my arm. I swear to God they did. And you only do that when you're either scared, pardon my language, but anyway, you're scared to death that your hair and your arm stand up. And that's just because of so much adrenaline, I guess. So I went upstairs. I knew I was going to get fired if Jim didn't do it. I said, Jim, you got to come and hear this guy. And I knew if he didn't do it, I'd get fired. And he did it. And he came out and he said, man, the next thing we knew, we was cutting him instead of Johnny Jenkins, who he sang for. He was the lead singer in the band. And I thought he was a rodeo valet because he came in driving the car and setting up for everything. And I went running down there and I said, he got out of the truck and he was getting his bikes out and all. And I said, you're not setting up for a gig, are you? He said, well, that's what I do. I said, really? I said, we've got our own mics in the studio. You don't need those mics. Just bring in Johnny's amp and whatever. And I knew we was there cutting Johnny Jenkins, but I didn't care about the vocalist. And anyway, he was just great. So he went to Al Jackson. He said, can somebody listen to me sing? And Al came to me and said, you know that guy that was driving the car that drove it up? And I said, yeah. He said, he wants you to hear him sing. And I already told him that you didn't only held an audition on the weekend. He probably wouldn't get a chance. So he came to me after we listened to Johnny Jenkins' playbacks in the evening that afternoon. And so Al came to me and he said, you know the guy that bugged me during the session? I said, yeah. He said, can you just take 5 minutes out of your life and just this guy sing? I said, well, I guess I can. I do for Al Jackson. And I went down to the piano and I said, play something. He said, no, you play something. I said, I don't play piano. He said, well, give me some of the church chords. You know some of that. I said, well, I'd do that. So the thing is, Johnny Jenkins played guitar on These Arms of Mine and I play piano.
How about that?
That blows my mind, too. So Jim said, get everybody back in here. So Duck, I didn't think Duck played them. But he did. He said, you remember coming out on the sidewalk? He said, I put my bass in the trunk of my car. You said, get your bass out. We got to cut a demo real quick. Well, the next morning I was cutting the B-sides. On Otis Redding. Oof. What a singer.
What a singer indeed.
I mean, he could groove, he could entertain, he could do both. And it's very, very hard to find a singer today that's good that can entertain at the same time. So
that's right.
Everybody that's an entertainer and a singer is always out of the past.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking the singers. They're all good. They're all trained and good. That's fit to do this thing. They don't know anything about entertaining. And I think a guy named Rufus Thomas taught me everything I know. And you know who's a great entertainer is Eddie Floyd. And he's a good singer too. So that was Al Bell's project. Al Bell said, I've got a guy out of Detroit that I know that you get along with, and y'all could write some hits. So we did. We wrote 2 or 3 hits, 9, 9.5, and 6, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, and knock on wood. We wrote together.
Great songs. Is there somebody that you think has done the best version of something that you co-wrote?
Well, other than Michael Bolton, I don't know, on Dock of the Bay. And God bless the record company. They sent it to me to OK before they put it out. I said, man, that's great. Neil Sean played the solo on it. He played on the verse. I played a solo on the bridge changes. Doesn't matter, but I worked something out and played a solo on the bridge changes. He plays a solo on the verse changes.
Interesting.
That's great. Yeah, so listen to it. You'll hear it. So that's Neil Sean playing guitar on Michael Bolton's record. So other than that, I don't know. That's been around for a long time. In the 70s, right? Came out in the 70s?
60s, 70s, yeah, I think.
I remember Otis's version came out in 66 66. And then Michael Bolton's version came out in the 70s. I don't remember what the date was, but it was while I was in L.A., I think.
But that's just one of those songs it just endures. I mean, I was in Key West, Florida a few years back, and there was a guy, and he did this just incredible solo acoustic sitting on the dock of the bay, just right there on the water. And man, everybody just shut up and listened to it. It was like it just mesmerized everybody all these years later.
It did, yeah, that song or something else. I don't understand that song. I really don't. It's got some magic to it, I guess.
Well, I was just going to ask you what, the sixth most played of a song of all of the 20th century. That's just incredible. What is the magic of that song?
I have no idea, but I know what made it sell. The line, "I can't do what 10 people tell me to do," they said that Don Covey wrote that line. And I said, oh my God, I finally, after all these years, I put him with the records. He did an interview in Playboy magazine one time. Tom Dowd called me from New York, said, "You take Playboy?" I said, "No." He said, "Go buy one." Because Don's in there, and he said he wrote "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay." Well, he co-wrote a line in it, but he didn't write the song. So there you go. And it's weird. But he wrote that line, "I can't do what 10 people tell me to do."
Yeah, interesting stuff. There's a song that you co-wrote, Mr. Cropper. It's a little bit of an obscure song, but it's a great song. It's called "My Barracuda." You co-wrote it with Michael Utley.
Right, and Jimmy Buffett did.
Right.
Well, he made "My Barracuda." I finally heard that on the radio about, I don't know, 2-3 months ago. I had never heard that song on the radio. It sounded pretty good.
It's a great song. Do you remember writing that?
I do.
What can you tell us?
"My Barracuda." Well, I don't know. I don't know whose idea it was. I think it was my idea, "My Barracuda," because of Jimmy Buffett. And we were out there with him about a year. After I got through, he fired everybody. All the reefer guy. I never was a reefer guy, but he fired all the reefer guys. Except he kept the steel drum player and Michael McDonald, Congress. No, Mike Edley's the arranger. He's plays piano. Kept Mike.
Well, it's a great song. Now, at the beginning, I was reading that quote where Bob Dylan was saying, how much he likes your playing and all that. And
right.
I love the video. I wasn't there. I was probably 10 years old when you had Bob Dylan's 30th anniversary concert at Madison Square Garden. Man, what a show. Do you have any memories of that?
Well, I remember more before than actually during it.
What do you remember before?
So Duck and I put our instruments up, and a guy comes in our dressing room, and it's the Montreux Jazz Festival over in Montreux. And they just had curtains over. They didn't have any doors. They just had curtains. And the guy stuck his head through and said, "I want you guys to play for my birthday party." And it was Bob Dylan. "What are you doing here, man?" So he's Bob Dylan, something else. He played with us for the guitar greats in Seville, Spain. That was 100 years ago. He came out during, what's his name? He had the winos at that time. Keith Richards. He had the winos or something.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Steve Jordan played bass, and the other guy played drums. The bass player played drums. And we did "Get Out of That Kitchen, Drink Those Pots and Pans, Get Out of That Kitchen." And that's what Bob Dylan did with us. So I get a call, and I'm done. I played with Dave Edmunds and about 4 other guitar players, 4 or 5 other guitar players. And we had rehearsed some songs in England before we got down there. And I get a call at the room, and it's he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, packing to go back tomorrow." He said, "I can't let you go back. I need you tonight to do a rehearsal at midnight." I go, "Okay." So I did it, and I stayed over and played with him, and I had a ball. It was great. And he asked Dylan to come out and do the rock and roll song, and that was great.
Exciting stuff. What is Bob like?
Which Bob? Which one?
Dylan. Oh, I got you.
No, I know that, but I mean, which one? The soul one or the drunk one? He's a genius. You know that.
Oh,
so he's such a genius. Here's the way he treats his band. He sings the lyrics to another song during the playing of a different song.
Yeah.
But he always tries to confuse the musicians where they're at. They go, "Oh shit, we're doing that song?" "No, we're not." He's great. Bob Dylan is such a genius. He's just so smart. And I remember the rehearsal of that Dylan thing. He stayed in a limo about 2 hours before he came into rehearsal the last hour. And he blew it out. He was just so good. And he saved his energy until he got ready to do it that night. That's sort of what I do. I was out with Paul Schaefer one time, and he was wanting me to play like I'm going to play that night. And I said, Paul, I want to do it one time.
That's smart.
See, he didn't understand that. He expects everybody just to be who they are at the time they're doing it. I want to do one show a night with the energy. I can't do two. If I do one, then I can't perform that night. So if I do that afternoon something that I don't know I'm going to do until I do it, I can't work that night.
That's smart.
Same thing with singing. I can't sing the next day if I sing that night. It's weird. I don't have a voice. I never did learn how to sing, but I'd sing one time for as good as anybody, one time. First time only.
If you could give the young Steve Cropper a piece of advice, if you could like go back in time and say, listen to me, young man, when you were starting, what would you tell him?
Learn the business. If you don't know the business, you're going to die. You can have all the music lessons you want, but you're going to die if you don't know the business. Or find somebody who does know the business, that believes in you. And then you make it. If you don't, you're not going to ever make it. Like I say, you can take 100 lessons. It doesn't matter how good you play. You better be good, because they give me a call on sometimes to play. You better be good when you play. But otherwise, if you know the business, you're fine. And I don't even know that anymore. It's changed so much that I don't know the business anymore.
Yeah.
I can still write some songs every now and then, but I don't know the business. I don't know what to do with it. Used to, I knew everybody in the business. I knew every disc jockey. I just called them personally at all. So you got to listen to this new record I got coming out, or a new song, and they played the crap out of it. If the fans didn't like it, they wouldn't call it. If they liked it, they'd say, play that again, play that again. So Al Jackson said a very important thing one time. We're listening to playbacks up in the studio. I said, damn, it sounds like a hit. And Al Jackson, dumb Al Jackson, he said, Steve, they're all hits until release. I said, no shit. How important is that?
That's funny.
They're all hits until release. Yeah.
Well, you still write songs a good bit?
Absolutely. They don't all get out, but they're good. I think the songs are good.
Do you envision any projects coming out, like recording projects?
Well, I've got one of my own coming out, and I think the name of the album is going to be Friendly Town.
Friendly Town.
Yeah, the last one was called Fired Up.
Oh, yeah.
It was nominated for a Grammy. He didn't win, but it was nominated for a Grammy. Called Fired Up. And this is the same kind with the same people, except this album has Brian May did the cut and Billy Gibbons on it.
Nice.
Yeah. So Billy's a good friend, and everybody, Brian May's a good friend, and he and I played together at where did we play? At the James Burton concert.
Oh, yeah. Well,
pretty good.
Everybody needs to stay tuned to playitsteve.com.
There you go.
Playitsteve.com, and they can find out about when the album comes out then. That's very exciting. And hey, Billy Gibbons, that's just fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. So we'll see what happens with it, but I don't know if it'll make it or not, but it will. It's a good album. And the engineer, Eddie Gore, loves it. Everybody that's heard it loves it. The record company got their version last week. They loved it. So it's up to them when they put it out. I don't know when they put it out. It's up to them for the promotion they put behind it. They put a lot of promotion in the last one, so they'll put some promotion in this one. And I have no control. Once I turn it in, that's it.
Well, you're hearing it first here. Now, Mr. Cropper, I'm curious, when you write a song, do you play it for your wife? Do you let her hear it and give you feedback?
Well, that depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no, and I'll tell you why. She's always negative about everything. That's good. If I play you something, you better like it, or I won't play it again. Just tell me how great it is. That's all I need, a little encouragement.
That's pretty good. Jimmy Buffett, he used to say, I only read the reviews when the reviews are good.
That makes sense. When the reviews are good, that's good. How would he know?
What is the best thing about being Steve Cropper?
I don't know that I'm honest, I guess. I don't tell somebody they're good unless they're good. If they're good, I'll praise them till the end of the earth. But if they're not good, I don't beef around about it. I just go, I don't tell them they're not any good. That discourages everybody. I just say, I can't help you. I'm sorry. Either you're too white or too black, one or the other. I can't help you. So it is what it is.
Well, Mr. Cropper, I can't tell you how happy it makes me to do this interview. I've really enjoyed talking.
You bet, Paul. My pleasure.
It's a great pleasure.
And let me tell you something. Anything you want covered up, call me back and I'll clear it up for you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Misinterpret something, you don't know what I'm saying. Sometimes that happens, and I can always clear it up.
Oh, I appreciate that. There's one thing I always do on this show. I always let the guest have the last word. Now, you could go anywhere. It's really you have the microphone. The floor is yours. What do you say?
Well, listen to Eddie Floyd. He's great. And Rufus Thomas. Rufus isn't with us anymore. Eddie is. Eddie is 83, I think. So he's out there doing it. He still does it. Still does the same thing he always did. Pulls girls up on stage and dances with them and all that stuff.
Excellent.
So you need to interview him, I guess.
Yeah.
And I did call Booker recently, and I said, hey, Booker, I said, if you and I went on tour, it'd be Booker T and the MG. All the others are gone. I laughed. Well, I hope they're having a good time. I'm sure they are. But Al's gone, Duck's gone, and Louis Steinberger's gone. Yeah. Louis played on Green Onions, I think, on the first version. There's many versions out where Duck's playing. And for some reason, I think Jim Stewart bought Louis out of his contract, and I have Duck when he left the Marquis. Put him in the studio, he turned out to be pretty good. I knew he was good because his energy was good. But, that's the last word I've got is just listen to Duck Dunn every now and then.
I like it.
So Duck went by Louis. Louis had his phones on the plane one time. Duck says, Louis, listen to Junior Walker every now and then. So I had that put to me too. And then Louis said, everybody from Bach to Chopin uses the same set of notes everybody else. And he's right. They all use the same notes, black keys and white keys.
Well, everybody out there, it's playitsteve.com. Please check it out right now and keep your eyes and ears peeled for this upcoming record from Steve Cropper. And also, let's not forget, you want to check out this track. It's got Steve Cropper on it. It's got Jeff Beck. It's got Mark Knopfler. It's just incredible. I'm talking, of course, about the Going Home track. Check it out, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, the great Steve Cropper.
Thank you. Thanks, Paul. Thanks for everything.
All right. Thank you, sir. Have a great evening.
Appreciate it. I'm willing to.
God bless.
Thank you.
We thank you and appreciate you dropping in for the Paul Leslie Hour today. You can help the Paul Leslie Hour in our mission to provide independent media content like this by visiting www.thepaulleslie.com/support. We truly thank you. This is your announcer speaking. Performance of The Entertainer intro song and Corina Corina outro song, courtesy of John Primorano. Well, that's it for today. So until next time, be safe and be good.